place to be. Analyze the players and the team. Keep a great company in the stream.
It's a Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy. It's we when man, it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lankan Cricket, we gon' represent. Go tell a friend.
Welcome to the Murali End. My name's Mark Machado. I'm joined by the Professor of Cricketology, Dominic Machado, in the US, and Estelle Vasudevan, Sri Lanka's #1 journalist in Sri Lanka. Firstly, I've got to apologise for not having a live reaction show on Saturday after the game. There was multiple different reasons for it. This is all kind of a volunteer thing. Kind of sometimes it doesn't work out. We will be back this week though after is it Thursday or Tuesday?
Tomorrow
it is. Tomorrow we're playing next. We will be reacting after that, but we have to do a show today because to turn up to the Tri Series, it's the road to the World Cup. Oh boy, have we blown the head gasket. 2 losses in our first 2 games. This was not what we were expecting, is it, Esty?
No, absolutely not, right? I think despite like the struggles that Sri Lanka have seen, I think a majority of us would have expected them to at least get the better of Zimbabwe, but that wasn't the case. And against Pakistan, they showed that performance against Zimbabwe wasn't really like a one-off thing. It looked like, the problems from that game spilled over to this one as well. So it's not looking good for Sri Lanka. I mean, apart from the whole pride issue of, not making the final in this tournament, if they don't make it, it's also, as you said, it's a build up to the World Cup, right? They're supposed to basically have, 80 to 90% of their bases covered by now. But it feels like whatever was building since the last World Cup has also, it's almost become questionable now.
Yeah, Dom, how are you feeling about the performance on Saturday?
What I see, my big takeaway is, where is the conviction? You go into this tri-series and you say, we're going to try 6-5. We've got a good bowling lineup. We've got Eshan Malinga, we've got Mahesh Deechana, we've got Wanindu Hazaranga, we've got Dushmantha Chamira, and we've got Nuwan Thushara, right? You say you're going to try that out. You have a new captain in place. You bring in Bonica into the side. That's all out the window in 48 hours. So all the planning, all the work that they must have done leading up to this and saying, okay, this is what the team's going to look out, tossed out the window. You take out your one power play bowler, Nuwan Thushara, and then you're left having to bowl Wanindu Hasaranga and Viaskanth in the first 6. And that is just absolutely, that makes no sense. Vodka, apparently, they wanted to try him out for one match, saw that he wasn't up to it, and then tossed him out and brought in Jonathan Leonagay. It just doesn't make any sense. And then the one thing that had been working, the Kusal Mendes Patham Nissanka partnership, yes, they've been a little bit out of form, but that was torn apart too. And again, Kamil Mishara as opener, I'm happy to have a conversation about it. But when we look at it in full, we see these chops and changes constantly. And guess what? We heard news that Milan Ratnayaka is out on his way to Pakistan. And the belief that these Band-Aid solutions are going to solve the issues that have been sowed by Sanath and crew playing a certain way at home and then not having any way to actually play when the pitches are good, when the pitches are different than what they get at home, is really coming home to roost.
What worries me the most, right, is that we are 3 months away from the start of this of the World Cup that we're hosting, that we've been looking forward to for ages, that we thought we'd grown a team that should be able to compete, much of which has been at the last couple of T20 World Cups. And it looks like we're about to kind of deliver. We've had our kind of toddler stage, our child stage, and we were looking for a explosive adolescence with this side. And yeah, this is our first, I know we've got the England series kind of leading straight up to it, but this potentially is a kind of penultimate run into it. And there's chopping and changing. There's, that fella Milan's playing quite good at that tournament over there. Bring him in. Like, well, where is the foresight here, guys? What is the plan? Like, they keep telling us they've got a plan, but when it comes down to it, the minute there's a little bit of pressure on them, they rip it all up again. 6-5 in the first game, and then revert back. I mean, who is the decision-making person here, and who is the person who's going who's playing well? Like, change it all up. We're lucky there's no kind of Masters League coming up. Otherwise, Kumar or Mahela might be getting a text message. What you up to? Fancy a game against Zimbabwe, kind of thing. Esty, last week there was chat on this show that Sanath might be up for the chop after this series. I mean, can you see that happening? Do you think this close to a World Cup, SLC would pull the trigger on him?
I mean, that's a bit doubtful, I think. And to be honest, I would want him to continue until the World Cup, because we've spoken about vision and what is the vision and all of that. I'd like to see what the vision has been like going into a World Cup, because you don't want someone new coming in and then, that's just, unfair on whoever is going to come in as well, right? So at this point, I don't think that they would make a change. They'd want him to see it through. Maybe Sri Lanka has their expectations are so low right now. Maybe they will have a better than expected World Cup. But I think at this point, it wouldn't make sense to actually make a change so close to a tournament that Sri Lanka is hosting. While I say that, I think about Charith Asalanka, and I mean, we've heard rumors that his position as captain is in doubt. So if they are willing to change such a critical person in the setup so close to the World Cup, then I mean, possibilities are still there that the coach could be switched up as well. But yeah, to me, it wouldn't make sense to do that. And if he's been in the job for so long, I think it's also part of being accountable when it comes to a World Cup, right? So let him see it through and see what Sri Lanka can do under him.
Dominic, A, is this a crisis? And B, whose fault is it?
I'm going to bring up Tharuka's comment here. And he asks, why have they broken up one of the best opening partnerships in world cricket? Why is Malinga, Hasaranga, Shanaka, and Viaskanth bowling in the power play? And those questions, which we've all raised, show me that what's happening now is that the coach and SLC is trying to find whatever quick solution they can to save their bacon. They are trying to find and cover over the issues that they've built into this team. We're setting aside the players that whose careers they've destroyed. I want to be clear. Matisha Patirana has suffered here, right? He's one of our greatest talents. Charith Asalanka has suffered here. Chamindu Wickramasinghe has suffered here. And to me, it all comes down to the management. The players haven't played their best. I'm not letting them off the hook. But in this environment, when they see their captain being sacked, when they see changes being made without rhyme or reason, whoever plays well in the last game is now given a spot or plays poorly is missing. To me, it is mismanagement. And I think when we go back to 2024, when these changes happened, there was no philosophy that was laid out as to how are we going to take this team that has talent and make them realize that talent. The closest we got to a philosophy is we're going to make pitches at home that turn so we can win some games. But it wasn't how are we going to win against different sides in different parts of the world? How do we need to cross-train that? And I think despite sort of the failures of 23 and 24, I think they were trying to do that. They realized that they needed to score more quickly. They needed to play with their balance. But they thought that the solution was, we'll bring in Sanath, we'll get a few victories. And guess what? Those victories at home have meant absolutely nothing away from home. And to me, it's on the coach to take a talented team, a team that is putting routinely 7-8 guys in the IPL, right? This is not the 2017 side where there's no one who is being thought of as being that high-class player. There are a lot of guys who are thought of as being world-class players, and they are not. And that to me is the issue. They are not picking up on their potential. There is no, if you're a player in that squad, you're wondering, what is your role going to be for the next match? Am I going to play the next match? What is the decision we're going to make? How are we going to approach it? They just seem like they just seem totally out of order. And I'm going to say this too. I think the players have lost faith in the coach. They are not performing up to snuff right now. Yeah, maybe, and I want to be clear, they might make the final on the back of an individually brilliant performance. Pathum Nissanka might hit a big 100, right? Eshan Malinga or Wanindu Hasaranga might run through a side. But they are currently being held back by the coaching staff. And until we address that, we're going to continue to be held back by the coaching staff, by what's going on. And I'm curious to sort of see both of your thoughts on this. The hiring of Julian Wood and Ferdinand's, right, shows that somewhere within SLC, there's an understanding that what they're doing is not good enough. But there is also a force that is stopping them from instituting coaches like that full-time, because we heard that PL is still with the squad. We heard that Kandambi is still with the squad. So I think what we're seeing is a failing coaching staff trying to save itself. And I think there is more pressure than we are willing to, than sort of has been let on the coaching staff. So those are my thoughts. Sorry, I sounded angry and uncle-like there, but I feel very passionately about it.
I think it's okay to sound uncle-like in this, because I think it's the uncles getting too stuck in. That's the problem here, right? Estelle, I remember you being in Australia 2 World Cups ago now, right? That was, what, 2022? And we were talking about, more or less know what our 11 is, but the problem we felt was that roles weren't defined, and it was slightly kind of the players hadn't reached kind of full maturity yet, right? Yeah. Now the players are slightly more mature. We kind of felt like going into that Bangladesh series, which is when the road to the World Cup really began for this side a few months ago. I kind of felt like, right, they kind of almost know what roles they're meant to be playing as well, and I feel like we've regressed back to that. Fragility, if whether or not you're going to be picked, is back into the side. We're now playing with this false opener type thing, and we've got a false middle, which where it's like we've got players play those positions, but they ain't going to do anything. But that's all come from kind of a lack of leadership, right? We felt like Charath was a stable thing as captain, and now suddenly I don't know what's happened there. I don't even want to speculate on it. But the minute the boys decided that actually they wanted to say and they didn't feel safe, and we don't need to, we're not here to debate whether or not they were safe in Pakistan, but that's an emotion they felt, and they needed a reaction to that emotion. And that's when Sri Lankan coaching set up, SLC, who are basically there to try and get the best out of these lads, went into full uncle mode and just made them stay. And when it feels to me like the whole house of cards has collapsed. Do you think that's a fair assessment, Estelle? And that actually, if you look at it, we haven't moved on in the last 3 years.
I would go as far to say that actually in 2021, 22, 23, 24, going into those World Cups, there was a lot more definition in what roles the players had to play. I would say that. I think going into all 4 of those World Cups, one of them obviously 50-over World Cup, there was a lot more hope, I think, because Sri Lanka had you had aspects that would make them really competitive, right? But what's happened now is, because there's been so many, even if we look at that bowling lineup, and we spoke about this after the Zimbabwe game, right? Having 5 bowlers who are 5 wicket-taking options, right? Despite having that amount of depth and those personnel, you still don't know you still don't know their roles within the team, right?
Mhm.
Okay, Nuam Tushar is going to bowl in the power play. He has to bowl in the power play to be effective. But then he's not playing. He plays one game and he's not in the next game, right? And then you've got the wrist spinners bowling in the power play. So it feels like even what should be like our absolute strength, which is the bowling, forget, like, Sri Lanka's never had proper middle order. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you look across the board, they've never had that number 5, 6, 7 who can go crazy.
Use the technical term, false middle. We've got a
false middle.
False middle.
Right?
I mean, it is.
If Guardiola did it, he'd be deemed a genius.
I mean, they've never had that, right? They've never had the depth there. The big hitters in the middle order, they've never had it. But the bowling has been one constant that they could have built on, right? And they've got the people. That's the problem. Like, imagine you don't even have someone like Lahiru Kumara, who was, like you spoke about 2022, who was a standout in that tournament. 3 years later, you don't know where he is, right? Certainly not in white ball, in the white ball formats. So to be able to leave out someone like that, they built the depth in the bowling attack, right? But still, we don't know who's bowling where and who's doing what, right?
Yeah.
So that is a massive concern, I think, going into this tournament. When, again, I mean, I said this before the 2023 World Cup as well. You know, these World Cups are coming in conditions that will be suitable to you. You have to build towards them, right? Maybe you're not going to be competitive in South Africa. Maybe you're not going to be competitive in Australia. So you build towards the tournaments which you feel like you can be competitive in, and they just have not done that. I mean, unless they're going to produce the paddy fields in Sri Lanka for the Sri Lanka leg of next year's World Cup. Yeah,
I don't think the ICC is going to allow that, because that's not going to happen. And kind of to pick up on Estelle's point, Sanuda points out, we've only won 1 game since 2024 when Pathum or Mendes don't score more than 20. And to me, that one underscores Estelle's point, right? We're never going to have a good enough middle order. So why not? And I think we were chatting about this. We were all happy when they said we're going 6-5 and we're going to have 20 overs of capable bowling. Because if you restrict a side to 162, I think this Sri Lankan batting side should be capable of chasing that. That's not too steep of an ask. Obviously, they didn't. They played poorly. But then, right, so they performed their job. They performed well. You had 3 bowling changes from that, right? You dropped 3 people. And that's insane. That's absolutely insane, is that we had identified the one good thing they did that we were like, okay, we're in support of this. They then changed for the next match. They totally pulled out the rug. And I think you kind of have to imagine, right? Think about the 2014 side. That was not a big hitting side. You had Lahiro Thirimana batting at 5. I mean, that just is mind blowing. Let's just set that aside. That's so utterly, and Dinesh Chandimal batting at 6, all those things. But they understood that they had to back a bowling attack that would keep the runs down, and they just had to score enough, right? That's what I would say is the strategy. And you say, okay, we have some good batters up top who are capable of doing things, and then do whatever you want after that. But let's just keep those 2 pieces stable, because that will win you a fair few games. A good bowling attack, good top 3 that can score runs fairly consistently, right? But they've taken the hatchet to it.
See, I think the problem is they want us to be kind of subsistence fans, right? They just want us to be. The plan is just get the best 11 players that Sri Lanka have at any given moment and just put them on the pitch and hope it works out. Where everyone else has moved on, like even associate sides now have moved on and they've got strategy and we just cannot rely on 1 or 2 players putting in a good performance every game to get us over the line. You look at Zimbabwe, they're putting in 4 or 5 good performances, right?
Yep.
And that's how they get over the line now. I think Sri Lanka are at serious risk in the white ball, well, in all formats, really, of like really falling behind if they don't start to think a bit. I'm not even asking them to think long term, just think medium term. It's what's really frustrating from my perspective is that actually we've got this great bowling school, we're addressing our batting problems. But the players aren't being given any opportunity or being just set up to fail when they step into the pitch.
Yeah. Can we talk about the example, Mark? Sorry, just to interrupt here, is Nuwanendu Fernando, hailed as the number 4 batter, right? Going into that Zimbabwe series. 2 matches, gone from the side. And then they bring in Bonica to hit that number 4 spot. 1 match. Like, wouldn't you say at least, okay, I disagreed with bringing Bonica into the team, but he's woefully out of form that 1 match. Like, at least give him a second match to see if he can find something. And then Kamil Mishara, who's been bumped, who was batting at 3, played 5 matches, was dropped for a couple matches, and now finds himself back in a different position, opening the batting. Like what are we doing?
Should we open up the studio for people to come in and have a chat with us? I'll put the link in if you want to come and have a chat with us. Please do. That's in the side, going into the side now. Yeah, Sanuda said, what's frustrating is these guys are seriously talented. Lahindus wrote, guys, there's literally no logic. Yeah, Sanat just picks 11 players and prays for the best. I keep saying on this channel, I think we should just have a big prayer circle when Sri Lanka play cricket. We'll do a live thing. We'll get representatives from all the major and some of the minor religions, and we'll just go around.
And the non-religious too.
The non-religious
we're
too.
Inclusive, yeah.
Like whatever we think works, let's just do it. Because at the moment, that's exactly the same strategy that the coaches set up have. Like I am up for this. Yeah, guys, if you want to come in and have a chat with us, hit the link in the comment section. Come and join us. Tell us what you think. What happens now? I think we're headed towards, depending on what the result is. Look, this is Sri Lankan cricket, right? We know absolute miracle. This is where miracles live in the cricket world. Right, so we know that they can go on a run and not lose.
I was going to say this is probably the ideal setup. You don't want them to be playing well going into this, so that we have hope. At least we'll go in having 0 expectations, and if they play like garbage, we'll be okay with that. We should bring up Tharaka's point here. The group for World Cup 2026. Did you all see this?
No, have you got it up?
Let me see if I can find it. It's Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka, Australia,
Ireland and Oman.
Ireland and Oman.
Oh, do you know what I did actually see this group: Australia, Zimbabwe, Ireland, and Oman. So I mean, at the way we're playing right now, how many wins do you think we're gonna get? We'll clip this out. We'll bring it.
The way we're playing now, it could be 0. It could be 0.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, that's not even a joke, right? Like, teams like Oman. I mean, we've already lost to Zimbabwe. Oman and Ireland are not teams that are pushovers. Yeah, and like teams like Oman get a lot of games leading up as well. Maybe not against the best opposition, but they're playing a lot of games, right?
Yeah, and they've got a wily old coach as well, don't they? In Oman, like who'll relish playing against Sri Lanka. So
this is the other thing that's amazing, right? We talked about how many Sri Lankan coaches are all around the world coaching sides that have significantly less talent and getting the most out of them, right? Maybe we should think about actually hiring one of those coaches who actually has coaching experience, because that,
But see, I think what happens, Dom, is that like, especially when they hire a Sri Lankan coach, what happens is, or the way I see it is like, now say, for example, Chandika Hathurusingha being hired by Bangladesh, he is given the reins to do what he wants. So he gets to control everything, right? What he wants goes. But when they come to, and I will use the same example, when Hathurusingha was in Sri Lanka, you bring him to Sri Lanka on the back of the success he had in Bangladesh. You bring him here and you don't let him do things the way he wants. So that in itself, like, you're clipping his wings basically, right? And that's what happens. I think, I won't say that's the case with Sanat. I don't know, but I would think it's highly unlikely that he's being Zaklit. If anyone, he's probably the one who would get the most amount of freedom. But otherwise, I feel like Sri Lankan coaches also are reluctant because they know they'll have like to listen to like 5 different people telling them what to do and not really having that freedom to kind of operate the way they want to. Whereas if you get an associate country or one of the lower ranked countries, they will allow you to run things the way you want, right?
Yeah.
I think on that point, Estelle, I want to bring up this comment that Lahindu's just put in. Only Sanath can navigate in this political culture. Unfortunately, is not a good coach. So, in my opinion, I don't think it matters if he's a good coach or not. And also, I don't think he, in a way, does coach. Right? Once you
what does he do? Right? Like,
Sri Lanka's a major team. It's not like, you know, if it's a small associate side where there's not much cricket being played, I can understand you bring players in and then you've got to be like, right, this is the reverse sweep. And I know to a degree they've had to try and reintroduce the reverse sweep into our batters' armory. But largely, like by and large speaking, you basically you have your team and you sit there and you go, right, these are the weapons we've got. We've got this left arm spinner, we've got this left arm seamer, we've got this right hand spinner, we've got this batter who can score at this rate. This is how we're going to win games. I think that's where it all falls down. I think you can throw as many coaches as you want with them, but the setup itself, I don't think they've got the brain, like that. They've not got the cricket brain there to be able to go, right, this is what Zimbabwe's strengths are. This is how they're going to score runs. These are the players that we need to get out. And this is the things we need to make sure aren't happening. Right. And I don't think they're able to kind of reverse engineer into how you win a game, because the mentality is win today, and think about tomorrow in the morning. When it should be, I don't care about and I know this is a difficult thing for fans to listen to. It shouldn't be, I don't care about winning today. I don't care about winning tomorrow. I care about winning in February. Win in February. That's when championships are won. They're not won against the West Indies 18 months out from a series. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And, you know, I think part of it is stress testing, right? So like saying we're going to play in our conditions at home is not stress testing the players. And fundamentally, T20 cricket is a game about how stress testable is your side, right? Because you're going to be put in conditions where you're down a lot for not that much and you have to rebuild, or your bowler's been taken to the cleaners for 30 runs. And those things just happen. That's part of the game, right? But you want to create a side that has the reflexes to say, okay, that happened. Let's push this aside. This is what Lasith Malinga was so good at T20 bowling. It didn't matter what happened the previous ball. He could focus and make that next one count. And I think our side isn't thinking like that. It's not thinking like it because when we play at home, we're like, okay, we'll just put up that does the work for us. That does the work of how do we actually win the matches? What strategies do we employ? Right? Because there's no work that actually has to be done when we put on turning pitches, because they played on those their whole life. They know how to take advantage of them. And then when it comes to something outside of that, they just expect the same thing to happen. And also it's the arrogance that teams like Zimbabwe should just roll over, that, oh, we're playing Zimbabwe, we should just crush them. I'm sorry. That's not the case in world cricket anymore. Every team that you play at this level, you have to show up with your best match. You have to show up with your best match plan and keep on going. It's the same thing the way we talk about Bangladesh. No, I'm sorry. They might not have as much talent. They might not have as much history, but if you don't show up, they are going to beat you.
Can I pick this comment out as well? I commented last time about Lianage being included, and he turned out to be the highest scorer for us. Maybe I should replace Sanath. That's SSSP-K2B. I don't know whose username that is. I mean, it could be any number.
Mahela, is that you?
Yeah, it could be any number of former Sri Lankan players who fancy the job, and maybe non-Sri Lankan players. I think there's something in that though, because I do think someone like Lianage, who I feel is quite maligned, but I think you kind of at this moment where I think I wasn't sure if this was a crisis, but after talking through it, I'm like, we've got to deal with this now before we lose to Oman, right? I kind of am feeling that actually at the players who are performing well, who are able to kind of do stick around, get those ones and twos, turns those twos to threes, like Lianage kind of is able to, are kind of showing great mental resilience and strength, where maybe the players who aren't able to do it are struggling a little bit, and maybe we should think about that in the next rebuild.
See, I think what happens is, Mark, when I mean, we went through this before as well, right? Where that whole conversation about, we're losing, but we're not losing badly is a good thing. It's kind of something like that when you talk about players like Lianage. I mean, no offense to him, and I think he's improved in terms of his hitting ability and all of that, but he seems to always find himself in like this rebuilding phase, right? And he's the only one who will survive 30 balls and score 45 runs, and you suddenly think, oh no, he should be in the team because he's the only one scoring. Whereas that's not necessarily going to be a win, like a performance that can win you a game, right? It's kind of that, you're stuck between. Sometimes it's harsh on the player, and I understand that because he's doing what he's been told to do, right? He's probably being brought in there because they think that Sri Lanka are collapsing too often, even playing 7 batters, they're not able to kind of, put up a good total. So he's been brought in there to hold things together. He's doing his job.
Yeah.
But it's the strategy behind it that is the problem, isn't it? Because you think, okay, he's making 40 off 35 deliveries, he's doing his job. But that's not going to win you matches, right?
Yeah. The match winner aspect of it is huge, right? You saw Zimbabwe. It was Brian Bennett, Secunda Raza, and Garava, plus all of their bowlers were great. I mean, that I don't want to say that, but those were match-turning performances. These weren't 40 off of 35, right? Which is fine, which might be fine in another circumstance. It's never going to win you the match.
I've taken the frame off, and they can see my beautiful spare bed and the mirror that I was trying not to get in. But I'll bring Lahindu onto stage. Lahindu, thanks for joining us. What would you like to talk? How do you feel about the team? Are we in crisis, or are we overplaying this for YouTube views?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Hi guys. I mean, we saw this coming, right? I think we discussed this in the same platform like few times now. I think, part of me, this sounds bad, but part of me is happy because now people are realizing that they made a mistake. Appointing, the current management, and I think even though we lost like matches with Silverwood and Mahel, we were kind of in a good way. Good run. I feel like in the long, when I think about long term, but part of me is I don't know, happy because now people are realizing that they made a mistake. All these social media campaigns, all those things led us to this thing now. Again, part of me is sad because I feel like lost hope now because the World Cup is 3-4 months away and we are without a captain, no middle order. Bowlers, I don't know. Hasaranga is bowling in the power play. I don't know.
Lahindu, you're a Sri Lanka fan, man. How can we lose hope? Like, we get this out now. Like, the only thing we have is hope, right? Don't forget Dilshan Madhushankar's magic over. Charmari's magic over. There is always magic in our side. We could be angry with the way we're going into it because we should be so much better prepped and we should expect more. But don't lose hope.
Of course, you are the most optimistic cricket fan, and I'm second one.
I like this point as well from Sanuda, right? Like it just kind of brings everything together. Janet Lianage, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, Viyaskanta, Mila Ratnayaka, none of them were part of Sri Lanka's World Cup plans, and suddenly, 2 tours before the World Cup, they're all in the squad, right?
Yeah, and Estelle, I want to point out who these guys are too, right? So Viyaskant, bowler, Milan Ratnayaka, all-rounder, and then we have, someone like Lianage and Bhanuka, right? But we're leaving out the likes of Vishen Halambage, Nuanindu Fernando, these younger players who could contribute to the batting, which is kind of our weak link. Lasith Kruspule, who is also, like, again, you look at that emerging squad and you think to yourself, these are guys that we've left in the dust, that we've put near or around the side a few times, but never really given a chance to. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Milan Ratnayaka, who's never played a T20I game, hasn't been close to the side, is now all of a sudden on a plane to save the team. And look, he's a good player. I think, based off of his skill set, you could see him being a useful white ball cricketer, especially given our lack of pace bowling all-rounders. But who are we prioritizing? What's the way of thinking that's going on that's driving this team?
I just don't know kind of what to say, right? Because I feel like this show that we did today, the show that we did after the game last week, I think you could just we could just have them in the archive and just replay them constantly, right? We just make the same mistakes over and over and over again. There's loads of interesting, today should have been about, or this show that we should be really about. Isn't it amazing? Veerskant's made his debut. What does that mean for cricket? Like expanding out, what areas which players are coming from. This is a really exciting time for Sri Lanka. Instead, it's all about, and Veerskant's caught up in it, in the collateral of it. We're panicking and we're just pulling in players, right? It's just panicking, and it's panicking, and everyone's going to be collateral. There was a message, I've been saying this for months. DDS, Matthews, Chandimal on the cards. I mean, if you're into gambling, I'm not, but if you are, go put a couple of rupees on it, because you probably...
Honestly,
Hey,
guys,
Angelo knew.
All these players are just one Facebook campaign away from making it to the team, honestly. Chandimal, Matthews, DDS, they just need to do a Facebook campaign, social media campaign, and they can definitely come back to the team. That is how it is now.
But that's what's so crazy, right? It's so wild that this is what the selection is now. And Mark, you just caused me a little bit of sadness because you mentioned Veerskant and what an amazing story he is as the first Tamil from the north to feature in an international Sri Lankan cricket side. And that's a story we should be celebrating. It's a story of his resiliency, of his willingness to ply his trade despite discrimination, despite long-standing grievances. And we should be shouting that out. But then I was just thinking to myself, what are the chances he's going to play the next match? That this wasn't just one and then see ya.
Absolutely no idea. No idea. Someone's asked what happened to Chamindu, LPL player for tournament, not even featured in the Rising Asia Cup. Talk about Chamindu Wickramasinghe. I think SLC have lost his number. I'm sure if he goes into his DMs on Instagram, somebody from SLC will be like, "Hey, bro, what's your number? Want to get you into a squad?" Something, but because he hasn't checked them, he's out the side. Lahinda, I'm going to let you go, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Hopefully, see you back tomorrow, and hopefully, it's not as doom and gloom. We'll get Shabnay up. Shabnay, thanks for joining us today, bro. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm good. So, question is, are we in a crisis, and how are we fixing this? How are we getting out of this?
It wouldn't have been a crisis if we had won the first two matches, right? Or the crisis wouldn't have been seen.
Yeah.
It's something that I kind of saw brewing inside. We kind of saw snippets of it with the previous tournaments as well. We have a good bench strength. We have, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have a good 30, 45 player pool probably that we can pick from. So it's not the talent, it's not the capability. Just like you said, Sanat's role is by definition, or by the tag of it, it's called a coach, but the modern day coach is not a coach. He's supposed to be that person who has good management skills. He has to be a strategic champion when it comes to strategizing the game, reading the game, how to change according to different situations. Those are the kind of things that we're looking out of coaches, and I think Sanath is obviously one of, though he doesn't have an accolade in terms of from a coaching side, in terms of strategic planning and being there with the teams, coming up with the combinations for the teams. I mean, who better right now that we have, except for, I mean, apart from if you say Mahela and Sangha out there from the previous older players, who is ready to be able to do that?
I mean,
Maybe an Aravinda, but Aravinda is not someone who will ever coach.
I was going to say, do they even want to do that? Do you think Mahela will ever want to come back after what happened, right? And Sangha has more or less said the same thing. He's poured time into doing these things, and they don't listen. It's because it's political, and it's Sri Lanka cricket serves as a good bully pulpit to do other things, and we're seeing the cost of that, and it's just really sad and frustrating. I mean, my one hope is that our players show up, because when they show up, we can beat anybody in the world, right? Pratap Nissanka, can do that, but right now, this looks like a demoralized team. It looks like they've lost faith in the process and lost faith in what's going on.
Sri Lanka is a confidence team.
Yeah.
If we are short of confidence, we can fall very fast. It's not even funny.
100%. I also think that decision around the security things against, a few, 10 days ago, that's having a huge impact on this side now.
Huge impact.
Like, they've got to fix that somehow. I don't think it's possible to fix that while they're on this tour. I think they've got to come back and figure out how they're going to do it. I think the other thing, there's a large gap between basically the whole of December and into, I think, the first England game is on the 21st of January. So there's almost they'll probably play their last game on Thursday this week. So,
and then they're going to not play for 2 months after that.
Yeah, they've got a 7-week break to load straight into the World Cup. They've got to fix that. I'm not sure. In Sri Lanka, we have not problems, but respect and authority works kind of differently to the way it might work in, say, in Australia and in England. And because of that, I would say, I don't think Sanath should go at this point. I think he's got to bear responsibility for whatever happens.
Yes.
And look, as I say, it could turn around, right? All you need is Pathum, Kusal, and Hasaranga to be on fire in a home World Cup.
Yeah.
And that will carry you through that group, right? And then we know with us anything can happen, right? I also fear if they were to get rid of him, I don't know who would replace him. I don't know who jumps in this close to a tournament. Right?
Who's going to be in Sri Lanka around that time? That has always wanted to coach a side, is up on the Facebook and Twitter in terms of Sri Lankan cricket. I know a guy. You're bald like Sanath. You can just grow out the goatee. And...
I wouldn't have any clue how to coach I was going to say a high-performing team, so maybe I could.
But see, at least
but I think your positivity is contagious. The team can use a bit of that.
And Mark, I know, but that and hire people who know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I think if you're gonna make a change, there's been some interesting names down the side, but I think they're kind of long-term projects. Like, I love the idea of Ravi Shastri managing Sri Lanka, right? I think, to me, that man is like he's from Colombo. He has the confidence of a schoolboy from Colombo who scored 1 million runs.
And he's not the type who would take bullshit.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I
love that idea, but he's not going to do it for like a 2-month stint, right? And whichever broadcaster he works for in India pays him more than the Sri Lanka coach gets paid anyway. I think the only person who I can see jumping in, doing it, and turning it all around is Lasith Malinga. And I think if you gave him the opportunity, he'd grab it, I suspect. And I think when he understands the modern game as well, because he played it.
I was going to say that's the big thing.
He's in the Mumbai Indians coach and set up. If they were to pull the trigger, he's the only person that at the top of my mind I think could do it.
And who would do it?
He's also been kind of quite vocal as of recently on social media too, right?
Yeah, and now I'm
So
wondering
maybe
if
he's
that's what
hinting.
he's hinting. He's positioned himself for it.
Yeah.
Because also I see his YouTube channel, which is probably one of the best player led YouTube
Yeah.
channels. It has
Yes.
been up and running again. So I don't know. Maybe we should reach out to him and see if he'll come on and tell us what his plans would be for the next 7 weeks to get them into.
Well,
into
you know,
good
he has as long as he brings the board with the little dots on it, we have to, you know, I love that. But see, that's the thing. I was talking to my dad actually the other day, and he was making the observation. He just sees Sanath sitting there, stone faced, like it's a test match, right? In T20 cricket, every ball is an event. Everything should be a conversation. Everything should be a discussion. But he's just sitting back there, you know. And obviously, I think it's not quite right to say that his demeanor on the like watching the matches.
No, but then isn't Mahela the same? He has that one corner chair in the dugout where he'll be seated, right? I mean that's that person, right? I mean I don't think we can read too much into that, because these guys go through so much of planning before they get into a game. How much more can you change after having a plan A, B, C, D? Then
Do
you'll
you
have to
think
come
they
up with
have?
three,
Do you
four other
really
new
think they have
plans.
plan B, C, D? I don't know that there's plan B, C, D in this
Hey,
side.
it doesn't
Is
hurt
there
to
a
be
plan
optimistic,
A?
right?
Is I didn't want to be that
There's a
uncharitable.
like half an A. We're getting some absolute shockers here. Lahindu, who's just come off the show, has written Arne Slot will be jobless. Maybe if you don't know who Arne Slot is, he's the Liverpool manager. My other beloved team, who are having the worst possible attempt at defending.
What
a
about
title.
Jurgen? Can you get your
Oh
mate
my gosh,
Jurgen Klopp?
Jurgen Klopp would be the ultimate like coach. Well, he's that'd be amazing, and he'd totally get it as well. He'd love Sri Lanka, I'm sure. I don't know how he'd cope with Kotu. I don't know if he eats spicy food or not. Oh gosh, someone said, what about Raul Dravid? I don't know. I
don't think.
I can't see these people jumping in at this point. Like Sri Lanka,
No,
let's be honest. SLC has a bad reputation for bringing coaches on board. There's a story, you know, Mark Rampakash was offered the coaching role and took the job at a school in England instead. Like, you're like, what?
Ouch.
Yeah, big ouch. Oh gosh, guys, should we wrap that up for today? Thanks for joining us, Shabney. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. After whatever happens, win, lose, or draw. I promise we'll be back tomorrow. Today was good though. It feels cathartic, and I think we now got a plan for how Sri Lanka are going to approach this. I think that prayer circle during the games. Oh, do you want to talk about the Ashes? Do you know what? Actually,
say, Mark, you should. This is a chance to.
Yeah. So our one of our kind of sister brother pods, whatever you want to call them. It's not just cricket, which is presented by Matt Kabir Floyd, where Azim played county cricket for Yorkshire. It's very well known in English cricket. You can Google why. They present, or they were doing a show that was starting about 10 or 15 minutes after the end of play. It's incredibly difficult with England. I mean, we think Sri Lanka have problems. I don't think Sri Lanka have ever lost a test inside 2 days. Not in the way that, not in the dramatic style that.
And still talk about playing the same way, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean that like to a degree, right? That's like they've got the exact opposite problem to the way Sri Lanka have, right? Because it's like the players just stay there, stick about in the team for way too long, playing in a style that everyone knows like it's not going to work. When Sri Lanka were here last year, Sri Lanka won the third test. I said at the time, if this was a 5-test series, I think Sri Lanka would win it. But you know, obviously I said that because I am the world's most optimistic Sri Lanka fan. But yeah, Sri Lanka have a lot of problems. Go check out. It's not just cricket. Their kind of live shows that they've done afterwards. We're going to try and do them for the second and third, or definitely the second test and the third test. I think is it the fourth test in Melbourne? Is that the fourth one? That's a bit difficult for us because of the time zones. it falls into. So we're trying to keep abreast of that as well. We'll see how we go. We'll be back tomorrow. Maybe Brendan McCullum is the answer for Sri Lanka. You know,
We can send them Sanat.
He's way too chill. Yeah, he's way too chilled for.
Maybe there should be transfers for the coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, Gambhir, Sanat, Brendan McCullum.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Anyway, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Hit this like, hit the subscribe. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for your comments. Tell all your friends and family about us. Follow us on WhatsApp. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. See you all tomorrow. Bye.
It's the Murali End, you're in the place to be. Analyze the players and the team. Keep a great company in the stream.
It's a Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy it's we, when man it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lankan Cricket we gon' represent. So tell a friend.